Speak, you dog. Speak!
Robin Hood. Men in Tights didn't just push boundaries. It ran them over with a rickety wagon while singing off-key. Mel Brooks was 67, supposedly past his prime, attempting to parody a genre that Disney had already perfected. The studio executives whispered it was career suicide. The test audiences walked out confused, yet somehow, through sheer force of will and an unhealthy obsession with medieval toilet humor, Brooks created his final theatrical masterpiece. From director breakdowns to actors who nearly walked off, these are 20 weird facts about Robin Hood, Men in Tights. And somewhere in the chaos, the legend was born. Stay tuned until the end for a special bonus fact you won't want to miss. Like and subscribe if you love discovering the untold stories behind your favorite films. Number 1. The movie almost never existed because Mel Brooks was convinced he was washed up. Picture this. 1991. Brooks, sitting in his Beverly Hills office, staring at a rejection letter from every major studio in Hollywood. Young Frankenstein was 17 years behind him. Spaceballs had bombed. His agent stopped returning calls. Then, his son Max walked in with a VHS copy of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and said, "Dad, Kevin Costner can't even do a British accent. You could parody this in your sleep." Brooks watched Costner's wooden performance and felt something stir. Not inspiration, but pure cinematic rage. He grabbed a legal pad and started writing that very night. The fury of watching bad cinema literally saved his career. Sometimes the best art comes from spite.
Lincoln, I'd like you to meet a Jew.
A Jew? Yeah?
No, not a Jew, a Jew.
Number 2. Disney nearly killed the project before it began by threatening to sue over Robin Hood copyright. Their lawyers argued that any comedic take on the character infringed on their 1973 animated Fox version. Brooks' legal team was terrified. Disney's copyright machine could crush independent productions like insects. But Brooks had a secret weapon: his encyclopedic knowledge of public domain law. He'd researched it obsessively after the Spaceballs merchandising fiasco. During a heated conference call, Brooks calmly recited the publication dates of every Robin Hood story from the 12th century forward, then added, "Disney doesn't own medieval England, gentlemen, though I'm sure they'd like to." The lawsuit disappeared overnight. Knowledge is power, but knowledge delivered with perfect comedic timing is unstoppable.
You mean you changed it to the train?
Yeah, used to be shithouse.
It's a good change.
Number 3. The script was rejected 23 times because executives couldn't understand why anyone would parody Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, after it made $390 million worldwide. They called Brooks' pitch vindictive and financially suicidal. One Fox executive actually said, "Mel, people love that movie. Why would they want to see you mock it?" Brooks' response became legendary in Hollywood circles. "People love a lot of terrible things. McDonald's sells billions of hamburgers, but that doesn't make them good." The executive stared blankly. Brooks continued, "Kevin Costner made Robin Hood boring. I'm going to make him funny again." The meeting ended with security escorting Brooks out, but 6 months later, when Prince of Thieves was getting skewered by critics on home video, that same executive called Brooks, begging for the script. Timing isn't everything, it's the only thing.
Let's face it, you gotta be a man to wear tights.
Number 4. Cary Elwes almost turned down the role because he was terrified of being typecast as a pretty boy hero after The Princess Bride. His agent begged him to take it. The money was good, the role was lead. Brooks was a legend, but Elwes had spent 5 years trying to prove he could do more than sword fights and romance. He wanted Hamlet, not more heroic parody. Then, Brooks sent him a single page from the script, Robin's entrance, where he literally crashes through his own dramatic moment and ruins the entire heroic setup. Elwes read it twice, then called Brooks immediately. "I don't want to be a hero," he said. "I want to be your hero." Sometimes the best career moves come from embracing exactly what you're running from.
Hello. Excuse me, bad guys. I am running out of air. Gotta get pumped.
Number 5. The entire production almost collapsed when Brooks discovered the insurance company had miscalculated the budget by $4 million. They were 3 weeks into filming when the accountants delivered the news they were broke. The cast and crew assembled on set, expecting to be sent home. Brooks stood on a wooden crate, literally a prop crate from the sheriff's castle, and announced he was paying the difference out of his own pocket. "I've been waiting 20 years to make another movie this stupid," he said. "I'm not stopping now." He mortgaged his house, cashed in his retirement fund, and sold his classic car collection. When Cary Elwes asked why he'd risk everything, Brooks smiled and said, "Kid, I'm 67. What am I saving it for? My old age?" The movie that almost died from financial starvation became Brooks' most personal investment. Sometimes you have to bet everything to win anything.
Lincoln, fix your boobs. You look like a bleeding Picasso.
Number 6. Matthew Broderick was the original choice for Robin Hood, but he walked away after reading the chastity belt scene. Broderick's agent called it career suicide for a teen heartthrob. The scene required Robin to fumble with medieval contraptions while making increasingly desperate innuendos. Broderick, still riding high from Ferris Bueller, couldn't imagine explaining it to his mother. During the audition, he read the lines with visible discomfort, stumbling over every double entendre. Brooks stopped him mid-scene and said, "Matthew, you're playing this like it's Shakespeare. It's not. It's stupid, and it needs to be stupidly magnificent." Broderick left that afternoon. 2 weeks later, Cary Elwes auditioned with such shameless commitment to the ridiculous that Brooks hired him on the spot. Sometimes the wrong choice leads you to the right one.
Maybe if you tell me the bad news in a good way, it won't sound so bad.
Number 7. Dave Chappelle improvised 90% of his lines because he couldn't memorize Brooks' original dialogue. The script called for Achu to speak in flowery, pseudo-Shakespearean English. "Think, verily, good Sir Robin," repeated ad nauseum. But Chappelle, fresh from stand-up clubs, couldn't make the fake medieval speak feel natural. During his first scene, he abandoned the script entirely and started riffing in modern slang. Brooks should have been furious. Directors don't usually tolerate complete rewrites mid-scene. Instead, he was laughing so hard he couldn't call cut. The blessing scene, where Chappelle says "bless you" in response to Robin's sneeze, was a complete accident. The boom mic had picked up someone's actual sneeze, and Chappelle responded instinctively. It made the final cut and became one of the film's most quoted lines. Sometimes the best comedy comes from complete abandonment of the plan.
Share what you been had. Hoodwick. Bamboozle. Run amok. We didn't land on Sherwood Forest. Sherwood Forest landed on us.
Number 8. Amy Yasbeck broke 3 ribs during the Maid Marian fighting lessons scene. Didn't tell anyone until filming wrapped. The script called for slapstick sword training with rubber props, but Yasbeck, determined to prove herself in a male-dominated comedy, insisted on using real swords for authenticity. During take 7, she took a nasty fall down the castle steps, stone steps, not the padded ones from the wide shots. She got up, cracked a joke about medieval healthcare, and finished the scene. The crew applauded her toughness, but she was secretly in agony. She filmed the rest of her scenes with a broken ribcage, popping painkillers between takes, and binding her torso with medical tape. When Brooks found out months later, he was horrified. "Amy, why didn't you tell me?" She smiled and said, "Mel, it's comedy. Pain is temporary, but timing is forever." Her commitment to the craft literally broke her body, but created some of the film's most fearless physical comedy.
Good people who have traveled from villages near and far, lend me your ears.
Number 9. The Sheriff of Rottingham character nearly got Roger Rees fired after he suffered a complete mental breakdown during the "It's Good to Be the King" scene. Rees, a classically trained Shakespearean actor, had spent weeks perfecting a sophisticated villain performance, but Brooks kept pushing him toward broader, more ridiculous choices. "More cartoon," Brooks would yell. "Less Hamlet, more Daffy Duck." After 16 takes of increasingly manic line delivery, Rees snapped. He threw his crown across the set, screamed, "I went to Juilliard for this," and locked himself in his trailer for 6 hours. The crew thought he'd quit, but when he emerged, something had changed. He'd embraced the absurdity completely. His performance from that point forward was pure, unhinged brilliance. Part Shakespearean villain, part Looney Tunes character. Sometimes artistic breakthroughs require complete artistic breakdowns.
Dared to kill a king's dare. Dared to kill a king's deer.
Number 10. The entire cast got food poisoning from the medieval feast scene, except for Mel Brooks, who refused to eat the prop food. The catering company had prepared an authentic medieval banquet using period-appropriate recipes, including meat that had been aged for historical accuracy. What they didn't account for was 20th century stomachs trying to process 12th century bacteria. Within hours, the entire principal cast was violently ill. Cary Elwes was found throwing up in his Robin Hood costume behind the craft services tent. Amy Yasbeck couldn't keep down water. Even the extras were dropping like flies. Brooks, who had eaten nothing but his usual pastrami sandwich, surveyed the carnage and declared, "This is why medieval people died at 30. Filming was delayed 3 days while everyone recovered. The food poisoning actually improved some performances. The pale, queasy look on everyone's faces perfectly matched the film's low-budget medieval aesthetic.
And why should the people listen to you?
Because, unlike some other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent.
Number 11. The We're Men musical number was completely unplanned and happened because the choreographer quit mid-scene. The script called for a simple men bonding around a campfire moment, maybe 30 seconds of dialogue. But when the choreographer walked off set, citing creative differences with Brooks' vision, the actors were left standing around a fake campfire with no direction. Cary Elwes started humming. Matthew Peretta joined in. Within minutes, they were improvising an entire musical number about masculine stereotypes. Brooks grabbed a camera and started filming. The sequence that made it into the movie, complete with synchronized dancing and harmonic vocals, was captured in a single, unplanned take. The choreographer sued for creative credit and lost. Sometimes the best art happens when the professionals leave the amateurs alone.
What's going on?
Just in case you change your mind, my dear.
Number 12. The chastity belt sequence almost got the movie an R rating because the prop department built a functional medieval torture device. They'd researched actual historical chastity belts and created something genuinely terrifying, complete with spikes, locks, and mechanisms that could genuinely cause injury. During rehearsals, Amy Yasbeck took one look at the contraption and refused to wear it. "That thing belongs in a museum," she said, "or a dungeon." The MPAA preview board was horrified by the realism and threatened an adult rating. Brooks had to completely rebuild the prop using foam and rubber, making it obviously fake and harmless. The irony wasn't lost on him. A comedy about medieval times was almost killed by historical accuracy. Sometimes, truth is the enemy of entertainment.
I shall have you married or no.
Number 13. Dave Chappelle's "Did you say Abe Lincoln?" line was inspired by his genuine confusion about the script. During table reads, Chappelle kept asking Brooks to explain historical references that seemed anachronistic. "Wait," he'd say, "are we in medieval times or not?" Brooks finally snapped and said, "Dave, it's a comedy. History doesn't matter." But Chappelle's confusion had sparked something brilliant. His character's bewilderment at the time period inconsistencies became a running gag. The Abe Lincoln moment, where he breaks character to question the timeline, was Chappelle's way of making his real-life confusion part of the comedy. Brooks loved it so much, he rewrote several scenes to include more temporal confusion. Sometimes, the actor's problems become the character's strengths.
Do you, Marion?
I do.
Do you, Robin?
I do.
Number 14. The archery contest scene required 47 takes because none of the actors could actually hit the target. The script called for Robin to split an arrow with perfect precision, a classic Robin Hood moment. But Cary Elwes had never touched a bow before filming. His first attempt missed the entire target structure and nearly hit a cameraman. Take after take, arrows flew everywhere except where they were supposed to go. The prop master tried trick arrows. CGI was too expensive, and hiring archery doubles looked ridiculous. Finally, Brooks had a revelation. Make the incompetence part of the joke. Robin's arrow doesn't split the target. It accidentally hits the sheriff's foot, then ricochets into a tree, then somehow lands perfectly anyway. The audience never knows if it's skill or luck, which is exactly the point. Sometimes, failure is funnier than success.
Oh, Robin! Robin, this means you've always been my one true love because it's just the right size.
Number 15, the film's most quoted line, unlike some other Robin Hoods, I can speak with an English accent, was Cary Elwes's revenge against Kevin Costner personally. During pre-production, Elwes had run into Costner at a Hollywood party. Costner, still riding high from Prince of Thieves, had condescendingly asked Elwes why he was making a joke movie about Robin Hood. Some stories deserve respect, Costner had said. Elwes smiled politely, but was seething inside. He pitched the accent joke to Brooks as a subtle dig, expecting it to be cut in editing. Instead, Brooks made it the centerpiece of Robin's introduction. When the movie opened, that single line destroyed Costner's Robin Hood legacy more effectively than any critical review. Elwes had turned personal humiliation into cinematic revenge. Sometimes, the best comedy comes from genuine spite.
It is the key to the greatest treasure in all the land.
Oh, Robin, this means you've always been my one true love because it's just the right size.
Number 16. The movie predicted its own cult status in the sequel joke during the end credits. Brooks had no idea if audiences would embrace the film. Test screenings were mixed, studio support was minimal, and comedy sequels rarely worked. But during the final day of shooting, he filmed Robin and Marion discussing Robin Hood, Men in Tights in Space, complete with lightsaber sound effects. It was meant as a throwaway gag, poking fun at his own Spaceballs sequel jokes. 25 years later, fans still quote that non-existent sequel as if it were real. Brooks receives fan mail asking when Men in Tights in Space will be released. He's never made another theatrical film, but that joke convinced an entire generation that he was secretly planning cosmic Robin Hood adventures. Sometimes, fictional sequels have longer lives than real ones.
King Kong? Larry King?
Impertinent English dog. You shall talk.
Number 17. Robin Hood, Men in Tights, accidentally created the template for modern pop culture parody films, but Brooks hates what it spawned. The movie's success convinced studios that audiences craved reference-heavy spoofs of recent blockbusters. Within 5 years, Hollywood was churning out Scary Movie, Date Movie, Epic Movie, a parade of lazy parodies that missed Brooks' essential ingredient, genuine affection for the source material. Brooks had lovingly mocked Robin Hood because he adored the legend. The imitators mocked everything because mockery was profitable. In interviews, Brooks calls it comedy without heart and refuses to watch modern parody films. His influence created a genre he can't stand. Sometimes being successful means watching others ruin your innovations.
We shall go on to the end. We shall not flag or fail. We shall fight on the seas and ocean. We shall defend our isle, whatever the cost may be.
Number 18. The film's biggest fan is Quentin Tarantino, which makes absolutely no sense until you understand his obsession with cinema as conversation. Tarantino has called Men in Tights the most honest film about filmmaking ever made because it openly acknowledges its own artificiality. Every fourth wall break, every anachronistic joke, every moment where characters seem aware they're in a movie, Tarantino sees it as Brooks deconstructing cinema while celebrating it. He screened it privately for other directors as an example of fearless filmmaking. The idea that the most violent director in Hollywood finds inspiration in Mel Brooks' gentlest comedy is beautifully absurd. Art influences art in the strangest ways.
Pray tell, sir, is the circumcision?
Oh, it's the latest rage. The ladies love it.
Number 19. Medieval historians have embraced the movie as accidentally educational because its jokes require genuine historical knowledge to understand. University professors show clips to explain feudalism, chivalric codes, and medieval social structures. The chastity belt sequence teaches more about women's oppression in medieval times than most textbooks. Brooks's research for the parody was so thorough that his jokes illuminate real history. Students learn about the Robin Hood legend's evolution by watching Brooks deconstruct every version. The comedy becomes a history lesson, and the history lesson becomes funnier. Academic conferences now feature papers on Brooks' medieval methodology. The movie that mocked historical accuracy accidentally became historically valuable.
And this is Achu.
Oh, bless you. That's my name, man. That's you.
Let me introduce you to my best friend.
Number 20. Mel Brooks considers Robin Hood, Men in Tights his most personal film because it's about an aging performer refusing to retire gracefully. Robin Hood is past his prime. His methods are outdated. Everyone expects him to step aside for younger heroes, but he keeps fighting anyway. using experience and cunning to defeat opponents who should have every advantage. Brooks was 67, supposedly finished, watching younger comedians dominate Hollywood. Like Robin, he proved that wisdom and timing could triumph over youth and energy. Every joke about Robin being too old for this was Brooks working through his own career anxieties. The movie saved Brooks' legacy by admitting his limitations, then transcending them. Sometimes the most personal art comes disguised as the silliest entertainment.
Hey, man. Tough room. Why don't you let me give it a try?
Okay. Bonus fact: the horse that plays Robin's mount was actually a retired circus performer named Shakespeare, who had been trained to fall down on command. During the film's opening sequence, when Robin dramatically leaps onto his horse only to have it immediately collapse, audiences assumed it was a trained stunt, but Shakespeare was genuinely exhausted. He was 23 years old, ancient for a performing horse, and could barely support his own weight, much less a rider in full costume. The collapse was Shakespeare's authentic response to being asked to work one more day. Brooks was so charmed by the horse's honest exhaustion that he rewrote the scene to make it a running gag. Shakespeare got to retire with dignity, and Brooks got the perfect metaphor for his own career, an old performer giving everything for one final show. Robin Hood, Men in Tights, didn't just get made. It escaped from the studio system's expectations, the genre's limitations, and its own modest ambitions. What's left behind isn't just a movie, it's a master class in creative resilience, a love letter to the power of mockery as the highest form of flattery, and proof that sometimes the most important art comes from refusing to act your age. Mel Brooks took everything that should have made this movie impossible: a tired premise, an aging director, a modest budget, and a cast of relative unknowns, and turned those limitations into strengths. The legend wasn't born, it was forged in the fire of pure, stubborn creativity.